So, a few thoughts on Dave Taylor. As I think about Dave, besides his humor and the fact that he was generally a good person, I look at Dave as a catalyst, certainly in my life. All of the early successes and introductions into filmmaking, I can honestly say I got from Dave, be it the Bison Information Network at Howard that he helped found to give students some on hands access to the professional gear that was coming into Howard at the time, organized a TV show around that organization. That's Dave, is the catalyst behind that. My first AD job on Kool and the Gang's Victory video, Dave brought me in on that as a third. Uh, Introduction to Joel Hinman, who had a music video production company in the early days of music videos and branched out to form one to focus on giving directors of color an opportunity. Dave made that introduction to Joel. And obviously, the core of Drop Squad, the deprogrammer, was a short that Dave wrote and was kind enough to allow Butch and myself to tinker with and eventually kind of develop that into Drop Squad. So that was Dave. He was a catalyst, a creative catalyst, a creative force. He could get things done. He had a lot of ideas. He had a lot of sense of humor, a lot of compassion and love. He was a mensch. But if you're from Baltimore, you would just say he was good people. And he will be missed. But I'm sure we'll see him soon enough. So, Dave, we love you. To Kathy and the family, our love goes out. Dave hasn't gone anywhere because his spirit is alive and strong, and he's still being a catalyst, I'm sure, certainly for me. So, peace to you, Dave. And we'll see you soon enough, brother.
Hi, my name is Joel Hinman. I knew Butch and Dave back in the day when they were kind of Key and Peele, 30 years ahead of their time. Let that be a lesson. Um, Dave and I used to go out to a little place on Lower Broadway, Brazilian joint, and they had very good ropa vieja. And we would go out and sit at the bar, talk about how we're going to crack open the film business. Crack it open. Uh, and we always had the same thing, the ropa vieja. Dave would have a little Grand Marnier, I'd have a little shot of Sterno, and we'd talk. And one night I told him a story about how I had a roommate who was a boxer, and he used to kidnap people who were in the Moonies and hand them over to a reprogrammer. Uh, David never said anything. Never heard a word about it, but I'll bet you by dawn he'd gone and written the story Drop Squad. And that's just who he was. And, you know, to me, it's important to remember when people were happiest, and David was happiest when he was using his imagination and writing. Um, in my experience, the film business was a rough business, and I saw David treated roughly. But, you know, to his great credit, I never heard him say an unkind word about another person, ever. Um, I don't know the Taylors, but I want to thank you, the Taylors, for the way David was brought up, because he was a sweet and kind man, and I miss him. Thank you.
Freshman orientation, 1978, Howard University. That's when I first met David. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were all sitting in a room waiting for the program to start, and toward the back there was a crowd of people talking to David, listening to him make stories. They were laughing, having a good time. He was pretty much holding court. He's David being David. Of course, and when I say a crowd of people, I mean girls, right? I mean, David loved to be around women, and clearly they loved being around him. You see, back then, being attractive, light skinned with a big fro, and having tons of charisma, for some odd reason, women like that stuff. Not so much now, but back then, they ate it up. I knew that I had to be friends with this guy. So we became great friends. He eventually became my roommate. We all know that David is a tremendously talented individual. He always wrote. He liked Omni magazines. He was always reading them. He wrote short stories. Even back then, he wrote plays. He was a creative. And as creative and as talented as he was just an amazingly good guy. He was a great friend. But David wasn't perfect. When I met him, the only thing he could cook was something called Mapo, whatever the hell that is. He couldn't wash dishes. Everybody knows you start with your glasses first and you end with your pots, not the other way around. Come on, bro. But aside from that, David was just a tremendous person. From the day that we became roommates to the day that he passed, David and I never spent more than 30 days without saying hi to each other, picking up the phone, talking. I spoke with him all the time. I miss him tremendously, like we all do. And David, if you're listening, I'll see you on the other side, bro.